When I did the bang bus, I was looking this lady.
Butler donated $99. You can't do corn without getting genital herpes, as condoms do not protect from it. If the industry tested for it, there would be no industry. How can you claim your lady parts are superior when they're infected, rancid, and I can smell them from here?
Okay, so actually, no, they don't test for HSV.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, just by a show of hands, who here has either had mono or chicken pox when you were a kid? Nobody has had chicken pox?
I've never
Get a vaccine against it.
Wait, do they give you the vaccine, or do you just get...
Some people get it, some people get the vaccine.
Usually it's like when you're a
give you a
kid.
vaccine for that.
I think it's required. It's required to get a vaccine for it to go to school now. So
Okay, cool. Well, I went to school a long time ago, but so if you've had chicken pox or if you've had mono, that is herpes. There's more. Herpes is a virus, right? So there's more than 8 different strains of the virus, but 2 of those, being HSV1 and HSV2, are the ones that will produce sores or blisters, right? So for me personally, I had HSV when I was a little kid because I used someone's chapstick, and that's how I got cold sores, which is herpes. So if you guys have ever had cold sores,
super well spoken.
Well, yeah, but you mentioned that there's different kinds. So there's the one that's a bit more prevalent, which is the one that manifests itself in cold sores on your lips orally.
Yes.
However, I think the one that people are really trying to avoid, and granted, I think also if you can't, and also you can get, is it HSV2 that's fuck?
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $99.
Thank you, man.
The chick that can only make money selling her only asset on camera does not respect the young lady that adds value to society, and no real man values how good you think you are in bed when anyone can rent it for $1.99.
$1.99.
And I bet you're subscribed to all of us.
Well, just actually
$1.99.
on Grid Motorsports, all 3 of you have OnlyFans?
Yes.
What's your current cost?
Like 15.
For the subscription, $8.99.
$7.99.
$7.99. Okay.
Damn,
so going back,
Chipotle is more expensive
So
than that.
yeah, I could get a shirt at Ross for what you guys are saying is so much more superior than all of us.
Everything that comes out of your
Guys,
mouth
one at a
shows that
time,
your
one at a
character
time,
sucks.
please.
Oh my gosh, they're getting so mad.
No, I just would never
Like
ever
you-
speak to someone
Yeah.
like that.
I
My
just
character
said that my
sucks, but yours
Chipotle
is
bowl
based on
costs more
sex,
than
so
$8.99.
I don't
get offended by someone saying
speaking of
based on what they do for
Chipotle,
work.
speaking of Chipotle,
I do.
Kelly,
And that's why you're a bad
do you
person.
kind of miss the what was the chicken that they recently got rid of? It was the.
Oh, I don't like chicken. I'm not like a
You're
chicken,
not a chicken?
girl. I like
Steak?
I
You
like
do
the
steak?
steak.
Okay.
The
It
carne
was-
asada is pretty good.
What was the chicken that they got rid of?
No, I don't think they got rid of
Al
the
pastor.
Is so good.
Oh, I never tried it.
The one before
Was
it,
good?
the one before it was very good too.
Oh, the cilantro chicken, like the
It was
cilantro lime chicken or something
yeah,
like
that
that.
was a good one. I don't know what's coming. Oh, they got the sirloin or some shit now. It's
That's the
That
carne-
sounds good.
or no, it's
That
the
sounds good.
that's
carne
carne
asada.
asada.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, that one's pretty good
Okay.
too.
Sirloin.
So wait, going back to Jay Butler. Going back to Jay Butler, we were talking about herpes, right? HSV2, that is the one that if infects the genitals. Is that correct?
So you can have HSV1 and HSV2 anywhere on your body. So you can have HSV2 on your lips and on your genitals, as well as HSV1 on your lips and on your genitals.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think people don't want either of those.
No, most people don't, but it is very common. Most
Sure.
people do have it. Something about it is it can actually be dormant in your body. So someone that you have possibly kissed, shared any lipstick, straws, anything like that with, that person could have it and they could not know. A lot of people hide it or they don't say anything. So if you've ever had a cold sore ever in your life, or someone else that you've kissed has, there is a chance that you get it.
So, okay, there's a high proportion of people who have cold sores. However, that proportion when it comes to genital sores is much lower. So my understanding is in the industry, you're much more likely to get the cold sores on the genital or the herpes on the genitals.
Correct. But if you're having unprotected sex in general, which a majority of the population is, that's still a possibility.
Sure.
And even
Yeah.
if you are having sex in general and using condoms, it is still possible for you to get herpes.
Yes, absolutely.
So unless you're completely celibate, you are at a risk of getting herpes. And even if you're just sharing vapes or straws or anything like that with friends, you are still at a risk of getting herpes.
But
Right,
it's kind
but-
of
None of my
different
friends
when
have
Wait, Oh, so go ahead.
Right, but
I was gonna say it's kind of different when you're actually like in the industry and literally everyone is sleeping with everyone.
No,
Oh,
we get
definitely not.
tested.
I think it's
We
the
all get
same
tested.
thing though,
You
because
don't, but we already talked about this previous show. You don't get tested for herpes.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that. I forgot that was.
Here, can you read this from Jay Butler?
Of course. HSV2 is not like HSV1. It makes you 7 times more likely to get HIV. Litigation, if you don't disclose to partners, rejected by who you disclose with, taking kidney damaging drugs for life if infected. All porn stars have it, including the ones on the panel. Disagree.
I've never
I
seen
do
that
not have
source,
it.
nor have I ever heard that from a doctor. So if you could drop the link to that source, I would love to look into that.
Yeah, Jay Butler, I'd actually be very curious to see some of the data on it. I mean, I have heard, I don't know if this is anecdotally or actually seen studies that, I mean, it's almost common sense, but it makes sense to me that these STDs are more prevalent in the porn industry.
Well, sort of. So like I said, with at least just talking about herpes, so cold sores is something that's very common. And like I said, there's really not a difference between HSV1, HSV2, having cold sores or having genital herpes, because either way, you have herpes. It doesn't really matter. If you had chickenpox, you have herpes. It just manifests itself differently. But I don't
see. But this is a very interesting use of language to try to downplay herpes.
I'm definitely not downplaying it.
Yeah, but you're saying if you had this
They're all
as
the
a kid,
same.
but you're referencing different strains, and there's 2 strains in particular, which, to my understanding, I'm not an expert in herpes, are the ones you ought to be most concerned about, and those are the ones that on the lips and then on the genitals.
So
we can talk about the chicken pox and it being within the subclass or class of herpes virus, but
the reasoning for me mentioning that and putting that in for comparison is simply to show that I feel like it's very common for people to hear genital herpes like on your vagina or your penis and think like, oh my god, that's a disgusting STD. But if you have a cold sore, because like I said, for me, I got it from someone's chapstick, then it's supposed to be more normal. So, and again, with chickenpox, is mono, it's still herpes, it's still the herpes simplex virus, but it's just a lot more normalized because one's associated with sex and one's not.
That was really well spoken.
I agree.
like
And
that.
also something to add on to that, I think the point you were trying to make where like when people consent to having sex with other people who like may or may not have herpes in porn, you're consenting to possibly getting herpes every time you share a straw with someone, share a chapstick, share a vape, all of that. You're putting yourself in the same wheelhouse that porn stars put themselves in every day.
But not genital herpes. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Herpes
You're
is
not putting
herpes.
it. No, it's not just herpes is herpes. Genital herpes and a cold sore are different.
No, babes.
They're
Yes.
both
If you
herpes.
I don't think
have if you have cold sores
Okay,
and
but-
then you don't have an active cold sore blister, but let's say you suck someone's
Okay,
dick,
but one
then
obviously
you can
hurts more,
give it to
right?
them.
It can all be prevented
It's
by
still
not
an open
fucking that many
sore on your
people.
body, so
Really
it
not
depends.
Yeah, but one's
Like,
more
here's some
disgusting, one
stuff.
hurts more, and one
Like
is
everything
worse to
can be
have.
prevented.
So
Not
they're not the
staying
same.
at home
Not
and being
necessarily.
around.
I know people that get extremely excruciatingly painful cold sores, and then people that don't get genital outbreaks at all, even though
course
they
you do.
know that they have it. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
I
look.
tend to be open-minded and listen and talk to people.
I'm not an expert in this. I just did a Google search. Type 1 HSV1 mostly spreads by oral contact and causes infections in or around the mouth, oral herpes or cold sores. It can also cause genital herpes, that's type 1. Most adults are infected with HSV1, type 1 herpes. Type 2 herpes spreads by sexual contact and causes genital herpes. So again, this is just a very quick summary of what I've seen. Perhaps it could be the case. It sounds like type 1 can cause genital herpes, but it seems like the big one that people really want to try to avoid is type 2, HSV2, which is spread through sexual contact, causes genital herpes. Perhaps it could be, I don't know, the severity between HSV1, HSV2. If the severity of HSV2 is worse, and if people who are in the industry are more susceptible to getting HSV2, then
I would definitely say people in the industry are more susceptible to getting HSV2. But that's one, because obviously our job is having unprotected sex with each other.
Right.
And two, it's not something that is disclosed or talked about in the way that it should be, which is another reason why I'm trying to bring so much information and enlightenment to herpes in this conversation, because a lot of people just simply don't know what they're talking about.
That was valid.